One of my subscribers sent me to a video claiming it can destroy Darwin. I don't know how to break it to you, but Darwin passed away a long time ago. Nothing much more can be done to destroy him. Oh. Alright, misleading title then. Let's see what he has to say and how the theory will be destroyed.
The evolutionary tree of life illustrates how all living creatures are apparently related. The entire theory for Darwinian macroevolution rests on this idea. The idea that all creatures evolved from a common ancestor.
Not exactly. Life could have arisen separately several times, and evolution would still be a valid theory. Now, we currently think that all life shares a common ancestor because of the genetic similarities between all known living organisms. We know life arose somehow, but it only had to happen once. Hypothetically, if life developed multiple times on the planet, that would not invalidate the current theory of evolution, because mutations and natural selection would still be the best explanation for the diversity and complexity of life. Only different groups would have come about from separate starting points.
If this idea cannot be proven true with empirical evidence, then the whole theory falls apart in terms of natural biological science, and we are left only with evidence for evolution on the micro scale. That is, evolution within a species.
Yes, and once those small changes within a group of creatures accumulate enough, they would be unable to viably breed with their ancestors, meaning they're different species. Speciation does occur.
The image you are looking at is one that can be found in most modern-day textbooks and lectures on biology. At the point in time where any of these creatures would have split off from each other, there would have been long periods of time in which these separate species would have been hybrids of one another by means of macroevolution.
First off, this is a more current representation of our knowledge of speciation. When a species diverges, it will still have several traits common to its closely related cousins. Being unable to breed viable offspring is a delimiting factor in speciation. For example, when the gray tree frog and the Cope's gray tree frog split into groups containing 4 and 2 copies of each chromosome respectively, they were no longer able to breed, but still had a vastly similar physiology. As time goes by, the now separate species will become further and further apart, with more and more noticeable physical differences. It's extremely unlikely that these two groups will reconverge and be able to interbreed again. In general, speciation is not a rapid progress. It's a long, long time. Time goes by so slowly, but time can do so much. Huh. Maybe I am. Hey, who wants to see me naked at a potter's wheel?
A zero ghost tolerance policy.
If you so much as hum 3 notes from that Righteous Brothers song, "With God as my witness, I will come at you with everything I've got."
Millions of skeletons for hybrids should have been fossilized.
It has to be noted that only a small amount of animals that have died became fossilized. Fortunately, with the vast amount of organisms on the planet, that small percentage has resulted in a plethora of fossils. Now, let's take a fossil that is ancestor to multiple modern groups, cats and dogs. Both are mammals with similar body structure. This is Normalolicon latori. It's the most recent known ancestor to both dogs and cats. But, looking at it, it doesn't appear to have traits in common with either of those groups. Once speciation occurred and different groups branched off from it, they slowly developed different physiologies.
In other words, to know that this illustration is factual, we would need either living hybrids of 2 or more species kinds, or we would at least need a plethora of hybrid fossils. But, as most atheist scientists will admit, we haven't found any. Not a single one.
Okay, now I know this video is a joke. Nobody could seriously think that such chimeras exist.
We don't find one of these. A crocodile.
I stand corrected. Let's look at the pictures you've posted. I'm actually going to do you a solid and focus on the chimera made of the 2 most closely related animals, your rhino chicken. The split between Sauropsidia and Synapsidia is believed to have happened with a creature something like this. This is Casenaria, a stem amniote, and what evolutionary biologists believe is possibly the most recent species that both mammals and avians can trace their lineage to. It was only around 340 million years ago, and lots can change at that time, evolutionarily speaking. Its descendants went from, among other things, egg-laying proto-mammals to marsupials to placental mammals to the modern-day rhino. A separate path of descendants continued as reptiles to dinosaurs to birds to the modern chicken. But, as you can see, it doesn't look like either of them, much less some Frankenstein-esque combination of the two. We wouldn't find hybrids of distantly related animals like you're talking about, because as species evolve, they acquire new, and lose old, characteristics. The further along you go across the evolutionary spectrum, the more distinct creatures will be from their ancestors. And distantly related organisms that share a common ancestor going back millions of years will have very little physiological similarities.
You can cross a zebra with a horse because they are both from the same family tree.
Again, not exactly. The zorse, or hebra, depending on which of the parents was the horse and which was the zebra, is an actual animal. The horse and zebra are still closely related enough that they can produce offspring. But, like most hybrids, they don't produce viable offspring. Hybrids like the zorse are sterile, showing their different species.
The Soviet scientists attempted to cross humans with apes, but the subject died every time because humans and apes are not from the same family tree.
Yes, the Soviets attempted to breed a cross between chimpanzees and humans via artificial insemination. In the 1920s, Ilya Ivanov tried but failed to achieve pregnancy with human sperm and chimpanzee eggs. This doesn't prove that humans aren't apes, but simply that we're separated enough biologically that even though we're still members of the same great ape family, we can't interbreed. The Soviets didn't even choose our closest relative, evolutionarily speaking. What we're learning now is that humans are more closely related to bonobos than chimpanzees. Even I've been mistaken on that in some of my past videos. We share 98.7% of our DNA with the bonobo, but that 1.3% is the difference between a tool-using, art-creating, 9-to-5 working, warmongering species and one that does little more than have sex all day with multiple partners. I think it's obvious which of us is the real winner of that evolutionary race. It's them, isn't it? Damn that 1.3%!
Time goes by so slowly, and time can do so much